Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot and a member of the PMDG 777 beta team. Welcome to another long-haul flight, this time featuring the LATAM 777-300ER on our flight from Rome Fiumicino down to Sao Paulo. Flight time is going to be approximately 11 hours, and on this one we are going to start pretty low as we have a very high takeoff weight today. So join me in the cockpit of our lovely 777-300ER. So we are going to start with a little bit of some flight planning and analysis over here. So let's take a seat, we'll take the universal flight tablet and import our flight, and then we'll take a close look at our flight plan before we start with anything else. So this is going to be a rather long flight, as I mentioned. We're looking at 5,216 nautical miles. We'll start with our flight plan up here to get an overview of our route and of what we will do. So normally I would start looking down at the significant weather charts and the overview charts. So starting down here on the route chart, we can see that we are departing Rome and we are going to cross Africa today. And over here we've got a small first ETOPS sector between Marrakesh and then we continue down southbound, and we've got another ETOPS sector over here across the middle Atlantic until we follow the South American east coast all the way down to our destination. So overall, two ETOPS segments in here, and when we go down into the significant weather charts, then we can see that there is nothing actually along the way over here. Over the middle Atlantic there is a couple of thunderstorms at the intertropical convergence zone, which is kinda to be expected. And from there, going southbound, we are going to fly once again along the coast, and there is just no weather forecast here at all. So it looks like this is really going to be a smooth flight with maybe a little bit of thunderstorms in the intertropical convergence zone, which is pretty much the best weather we can wish for. Looking at the winds, pretty much no wind, a little bit of headwind maybe, changing into a bit of tailwind along the way. So overall, pretty calm condition, and we should have a very nice and smooth flight. You can also have a look at the wind chart for flight level 340. We won't really get much higher than that today. But, well, looking into the general weather, we have good conditions. So now that we know where we are going, let's go ahead and have a look at the weather conditions of the airports we have en route. So we're going to find those down here at the bottom of our flight plan. So, a couple of SIGMATs over here for the Dakar FIR. Thunderstorms, as we've basically seen it on our forecast chart already. So, let's have a look into our airport weather now. Rome Fiumicino is giving good conditions in 22 degrees with Cavoque conditions, and Sao Paulo Guarulhos Airport, again, Cavoque 24 degrees out there, and up to 28 today. Looking at our alternates, we've got Viracopos as number 1 over here, again, Cavoque, so excellent weather conditions throughout the entire flight. Hopefully we're going to see some lovely scenery as we fly along, and with all of that, I'd say we can now go ahead and make a decision on our fuel. So if we look at this, we can see that our zero fuel weight is pretty close to the maximum. That is because we're carrying 400 passengers today and 20 tons of cargo. So the aircraft is really about as full as it gets. Now our estimated takeoff weight 338.3, and well, it says maximum is a little bit more, yeah, 352, but if we look at the limitations placard that we find in the cockpit of our airplane, we can see that the airline's max takeoff weight 346.5. So we can see that we're not all that far from that maximum takeoff weight today. So that basically concludes our look at the general conditions. We'll start in flight level 290, that means at least it's going to be a very healthy flight for us today. Making a decision on the fuel then, I really don't see why we should take a lot of extra here. So I'd say if we just go with 105 tons, then we should be more than good to go. So 105 tons it is going to be. Alright then, coming on board our aircraft, first thing we do is to turn the ADRU on. Now let's go ahead and have a look at our aircraft itself. The oil is completely full. Looking down at the status page, the hydraulic quantities are good, the oxygen pressure is good, and we're going to do the oxygen check down here, and it's still good. APU not showing anything right now, so we can just turn it on, and that way we can also check the APU oil quantity, which is looking good as well. Alright, and APU back off again, since we do have the ground power and the air conditioning card connected, keeping us nice and cool in our aircraft. Alrighty, so with that we've made sure that our aircraft is in a good shape. We'll do a recall to check all the individual messages we have over here for anything out of the ordinary that we would not expect at this point, but everything's looking good. Right, then we can go ahead and start with our FMC setup. So we'll take the GPS position, we'll go ahead and do the route request, set the payload, set the fuel, and select the route. So 104.5 in there, we can even fuel that up a tiny bit more. We said we want 105 tons. Like that. And now just look at this. This is only 72% of fuel. The aircraft could take even more, up to 130 if I'm not completely mistaken right now. So that's really an awesome aircraft, the 777. Okay, going to load the route uplink, and while that is in progress, unfortunately PMDG decided to keep that transponder in Tara all the times, but we really should have standby at the gate, so I am going to set that down myself. So let's have a look. Rome Fiumicino, Sao Paulo Guarulhos, and TAM 8121 is okay. Then let's go ahead for our departure. We're going to depart runway 25 today. And now we can start the difficult part of this job. That is finding the correct standard instrument departure at Rome Fiumicino Airport. Now, if we go ahead into the SID charts, let's go ahead and have a look. It is going to be via SOSAC, I believe. Yep, it is. And then we can pin that chart, and we will go southbound, so it is going to be the SOSAC 5 Delta departure for us. Out of that, we will continue on via... Let's go ahead and find that. I believe it is Isino that we're flying to. Isino 7 Hotel departure, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, here it is. So from SOSAC, we continue via the Isino 7 Hotel. Okay. So, SOSAC 5 Delta, Isino 7 Hotel. And then for the arrival, let's see what the weather forecast looks like again. I do believe it was runway 28 they have planned, but let's be sure. Okay, Sao Paulo, yep, definitely gonna be runway 28 over there. So, that most likely makes it on ILS Zulu 28 left, if I'm not mistaken, but I might very well be mistaken over here. But we have 11 hours to figure that out, so I'm not all that worried about it. Okay, looking at our route string itself, we have the Atmos 1 Bravo arrival, 28 left is planned. So Atmos 1 Bravo, here it is, and if we just take our colleagues FMC, we end up at Utkuk, so we can select that transition as well. Okay, then let's go ahead and do our route check. So we're flying from Isino towards Abidu, direct Gitri, direct Okido, direct Atrux, direct Kolos, direct Sutat, direct Usepi, direct Gogni, direct Supux, direct Etoile. That sounds very French. Direct Drecon. Upper Mike 986 towards Brenna, Upper Alpha 854 Arda, Upper Romeo 975 Aniti, Upper Alpha 302 Turub, and from there direct 11 North 20 West, direct Serat, direct Azobu, direct Kodos, Upper Lima 206 Bugat, Upper Zulu 14 Ambat, Upper November 857 Molzu, Upper November 401 Sidur, Upper Zulu 10 Atmos, and for the arrival, and that's a ground distance of 5208, and we've got 5216 in here. Perfect. Okay then, now we can look at our charts themselves, or at our procedures themselves. So let's go ahead and open that chart. So we go straight at Romeo Foxtrot 111, maximum, Romeo Foxtrot 777 actually. Maximum speed 200 knots. Now, as always, the 777 does not hold speed restrictions that don't have an associated altitude restriction in the FMS, so we just need to enter that ourselves. Something like this. Okay, thereafter it's going to be Romeo Foxtrot 786, again maximum 200 knots. So that's going to be 200 knots, and we just need to insert some random altitude restriction below that, like this. Okay, then we continue on towards Sosak, which is above 3,000 feet, and we do have that in our FMS as well. Then we're going to continue via the Isino 7 hotel departure, which is from Sosak towards Torli, and we have that above 3,000, and then on towards Isino. And since we'll fly direct, we don't need any of those altitude restrictions over here. So that is looking good. Then we can activate and execute the route, load up the route data, or rather the wind data. Okay, execute, FMC.com, descent forecast, uplink, load. And here we go. Alright, we don't need anything in the radios, and we are going to insert the MSA over here on the fix page, so 25 miles around Rome Fiumicino. Now, it is getting a lot higher across the shoreline, but seeing that we fly right out to the ocean, I'm not going to insert those radials over here. I think that would be a waste of time. Okay, so VNAV page. Transition altitude 6,000, matches. Going down to the init reference then, and on to the performance page. We can accept the performance in it. However, the cruise altitude is wrong over there. It should be 290. So reserve 6.4 is one of those. If one of those things is wrong, always suspect more to be wrong. Yeah, it should be 6.5. So we got 6.5, 290, cost index 38. That is correct at least. Certainly is. Minimum fuel temperature minus 44, since we've got Jet A1 fuel, and we'll take the cruise CGS 30. Okay then, so going on to our takeoff reference page. So we do have that speed restriction of maximum 200 knots initially, and we are simply going to fly noise abatement procedure number 1, which I believe they are using in Fiumicino. Certainly we did when I flew there with my old operator on the 737. And the engine out acceleration height can become 1,000 as well. Thrust reduction at 1,500 is looking good. And, well, finally we did have one waypoint in here that was based on coordinates. Probably somewhere over the middle Atlantic. So we gotta check that those coordinates are correct. Oh, that's interesting. Invalid entry. Okay, well. In that case, let's check it a different way. Here it is, from Turub. Generally it seems to be looking good. Yeah, it's directly along our route. What we can do is we can go down here in the flight plan and try to find that over here. Somewhere. I think we're too far to the south already. Yep, here it is. So, 11 north, 20 west, roundabout track 222, 34 miles. And that is looking good indeed. So, the waypoint is where it is supposed to be. And thereafter we got track 221 versus 223, 331 miles. It's also looking good. In other words, that waypoint is checked to be good. Okay, excellent. So, then all of this stuff is in. Something we could do now is we could go ahead and enter all the step climbs already on the legs page, but some companies do this, others don't. We are just not going to do it on the ground over here, because we don't want to waste time on the ground. But just be aware, it is an option that some operators do that. Okay then, we can continue with our overhead scan flow. So, refueling is finished by now. The packs remain off since we've got the ground conditioning unit connected. Okay, reset the electronic checklists. That's looking good, and we can use our CPDLC to request the latest weather over here, or much rather our ACARs. So, Rome, you can give me automatic updates from the PMDG server, please. Send. What are our brake temperatures doing? They're all completely cool. Excellent. Okay, this good stuff here is all checked. And then we can leave it down on the door page. So we most certainly have a third pilot on board today on a flight like this. Okay. And finally 1 to 1.5 going into the second radio. And if we really want to take things precise here, then we are going to insert our departure frequency in the third one. So 130.9, Roma departure. Here we go, pre-selected. Okay, here's the latest weather. 2903, slightly variable, Carvok 22, 1014, Nosek. Okay, so 1014 is in here. Okay. And we can cancel that stuff away. So, are you ready for the departure briefing then? Well, looks like it, at least. So, threats for the departure. Well, VFR traffic might be some. We've got pretty good weather conditions today. So there might be VFR traffic flying in the area. What are we going to do with that? Well, we'll engage the autopilot early, or at least earlier than I would normally do. And we are going to keep a good lookout as we are flying. Well, we've got the 200 knot speed restriction anyway, so we will be rather slow anyway. Alright, our route check is complete, and it is going to be a left seat takeoff on runway 25. Flaps, we'll have to see, probably 5 or 15. And noise abatement procedure number 1. For an emergency, we can proceed on the runway track, 25 miles, and pick up a holding over there. Now, for any malfunction before 80 knots, I will call stop. Anything after 80 knots, we will keep going, except for engine fire failure, predictive wind shear warning, aircraft unable or unsafe to fly, or any ICAS message that still makes it through at that speed. Now, if the call is stop, I will simultaneously close the thrust levers and disengage the auto throttle, apply maximum manual braking or verify operation of the RTO auto brakes. Manually raise the speed brake lever, apply maximum reverse thrust, and when the aircraft comes to a stop, I will set the park and brake. Right, if you call stop, I will note the brakes on speed and call speed brakes up or speed brakes not up and thrust reverse normal or abnormal indications. I will call 100 knots, 80 knots, 60 knots and the runway distance remaining. I verify your actions and call on emissions. I will call auto brake disarm and select flaps 30 when the parking brake has been set and advise ATC of the reject. That's awesome. We identify the failure and carry out any drills as appropriate. If we decide to evacuate the aircraft, we do the evacuation checklist. Time permitting, we'll pull the CBRCB, you grab the load sheet, and then we get out. Now, if the call before V1 is keep going, there will be no actions below 400 feet except to cancel any warnings and raise the landing gear with a positive rate. At 400 feet, verify heading select and carry out the memory items. At the MFRA, we are going to buck up and track the flaps on schedule. Flaps up no light, select level change, max continuous thrust, engage the automatics, non-normal checklist, PIOSI, NITS, PA, and then we make a decision. So, for our taxi today, we are parking... Give me that taxi chart, please. Okay, we're parking right down here. So it's going to be pushback either onto Victor or Whiskey. Taxi out then via Victor, Alpha, Bravo, and via Bravo we'll go all the way for a full-length departure. Now, our standard instrument departure is going to be the Sosak 5 Delta, followed by the Esino 7 Hotel. And in the chart notes, we have maximum speed 250 knots until crossing 100. If unable to comply, advise ATC when requesting startup clearance. So that is what we are going to do. ATC removes limitation by the phrase no ATC restriction on speed. Oh yeah, that sounds very Italian. Well, apart from that, SIDs are also noise abatement routings, transition altitude 6000, which we checked, and the routing is basically straight out left turn, initially 200 knots there, until Rom Fiumicino 786, and the Sosak 3000 restriction shouldn't really be a problem for us today. Do you have any questions, comments, or suggestions? No? Excellent. Well, in that case, let's go ahead and start up the APU, and then we can do our takeoff performance. So, zero fuel weight, 233.9, that equals the flight plan, so we are at 338.9. Let's go, performance tool, Roma, runway 25. Gotta make sure that the runway length in there is really correct, as sometimes MSFS holds an incorrect runway length. So yeah, here we have it, 3,307 is the actual length. So let's go ahead and type that in, 3307. The runway is dry. Takeoff weight today is 338.9. Yeah, let's calculate 339. Just to be on the safe side here. So 339,000. Center of gravity, we'll get that down here, 27.7. Might as well call that 28, but let's do it exact. Everything optimum. And for the weather conditions, the worst possible is going to be 320 at 3. So 320 at 3, temperature is 22 and QNH 1014. Okay, calculate. Here we go. Flaps 15 takeoff, full rated thrust 33 degrees. So that's full rated at 33 degrees, 104.4% versus 104.1%. That's close enough. Okay, so flaps 15. The CG is going to become 28, we'll round that. That's a trim of 5.5, which matches our performance. Okay then, speeds 66, 74, 80. We got 66, 74, 80. Excellent. Okay. So that is looking good to me. Then we can do the landing. Well, we don't need to do the landing dispatch because our company did that for us on the flight plan. So then, sit chart, and show that one right up here, and we can bring up the airport moving map over here. And here we go. Okay, full screen please, and thank you. So with that, our setup is pretty much completed. Air conditioning unit can go. And the APU is running by now, so the packs can come on. Ground from cockpit, go ahead. So, all equipment can be removed, and you can go ahead and prepare the airplane for pushback, please. Roger. Okay, ground power release. Let's see if GSX is disconnecting the jetway already. Yes, it is. That's awesome. Okay, then. Our parking brake is set. So, ground service vehicles, release all. Door management, close all. And remove chocks. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon from the flight deck. This is your captain speaking. My name is Emmanuel. In the name of LATAM, you're welcome aboard our flight 8121 to Sao Paulo. Flight time today is approximately 11 hours, and we expect to push back in the next couple of minutes. We expect a smooth flight today at an altitude of about 30,000 feet. For now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight with us. We will get back to you in the air with the latest information on our routing, and if there is anything we can do for you to make your flight more comfortable, please do not hesitate to ask any of our charming cabin crew. Once again, welcome aboard. Okay, pre-flight checklist. Oxygen, tested 100%. Flight instruments, heading 337, altimeter 1014, reading 20. Check left, check right, pre-flight checklist complete. So it's been a little while since I flew here, but I believe the initial climb is normally 6,000. I might be mistaken, but I think it is 6,000. Okay, ground cockpit. Go ahead. Can we pressurize hydraulics? Yes, sir. Clear pressurize. Roger. So, fuel in center is showing. Then we can turn on the center pumps. Okay, let's trim it. 5.5 is what we're looking for. Here we go. Cabin crew, all doors in flight. Okay, before start checklist. Flight deck door. I will keep forgetting that for a time here. Okay, is closed and locked. MCP. V2 180, heading 247, altitude 6000. Takeoff speeds 166, 174, 180. CDU pre-flight, complete, trim, 5.5 units, 0 and 0. Taxi and takeoff briefing, completed, holding at beacon. Ground cockpit, go. So, we are ready, push and start, park and brake is set. Okay, push approved facing west on Victor, and the park and brake is released. Roger, start and pushback. Stand by for engine start. Okay, before start checklist is complete. And off we go. We are moving. So, as soon as the engines are behind the red line, that's basically when we can commence our engine startup. Okay, so ground flight X, starting engine 2. Right engine start. TCAR's off, we can cancel that. We've got a good start on 2, starting 1. Left engine start. Okay, GSX, time to finish the push, otherwise this is gonna get expensive back there. I really like this low rumbling sound that you can hear there. Okay, push complete, set brakes. Brake set. So it's adding fuel. We have ignition, we have oil pressure. Excellent. Okay. 2 good engine starts. Prepare the airplane for taxi. See you with the clear signal on the right hand side. Arrivederci. Ciao. So, non-standard flaps 15 today. We don't do that very often. Okay, flight control track. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral. Okay, there's the ramp agent. Then we can do the rudder as well. Full left. Full right. Neutral. TCAS off is acknowledged. Okay. Here's our ramp agent. Hand signal is received. She's holding the pin. B4 taxi checklist. Anti-ice. Auto. Recall. Checked. Flight controls. Checked. Ground equipment. Clear. B4 taxi checklist complete. Okay, quick recap of the taxi briefing. We'll go straight at Victor, Alpha, and then we'll turn on to Bravo. So Victor, Alpha, and then right onto Bravo. Not to be confused with Hotel. Brakes released. Clear left side. Clear right side. Heavy aircraft, but then again it's built for these weights, so it will taxi rather fine. At least it's not as overpowered right now, so it'll just maintain those 10 knots probably, and not significantly accelerate or decelerate at these weights. Okay then, slight right hand turn. Might as well cut this one a little. Always think of the length of your aircraft, especially when you're aligning yourself on a taxiway center line. Your main wheel is simply 40 meters behind you. You should never forget that. Okay, and approaching the next turn. Here we go. Okay, straight ahead for a little bit. That's cabin ready. B4 takeoff checklist. B4 takeoff checklist complete. Okay, let's not get too far. We don't want to miss Bravo. But luckily we got the moving map. That makes our life easy. So that's Mike over here, then we got Hotel next, and thereafter is Bravo. So, interestingly enough, it says Bravo immediately over here. But I think that's the wrong sign, because Bravo is that one here. Well, nothing on here. But yeah, Bravo is this one. I'm speeding a little, I did notice that. Correcting. Okay, here we are. So let's review the takeoff briefing. It's going to be a left seat takeoff, runway 25, flaps 15, noise abatement procedure number 1. Takeoff speeds 166, 174, 180. The sit straight ahead left turn, initial speed limit 200 knots, which means that we cannot retract our flaps at all. But with the noise abatement procedure number 1, that should not really be too much of an issue anyway. In case of emergencies, we proceed on the runway heading, climbing 3,000 feet, 25 miles ahead, and that is going to keep us safe over the open water. For the standard instrument departure, we contact departure as soon as we're advised by the tower, and that's pretty much it. Do you have any questions? No. Excellent. So we got to keep something in mind here. It would be very tempting right now to accelerate the airplane to 30 knots. But we have to break it down for that turn in the front over there. And especially at these very high weights, but even at lower weights, you really don't want to accelerate and then slow down again so often. Because it simply wears down the brakes, and any energy, any fuel that you would put into accelerating right now would need to be dissipated by the time we reach the turn. And looking at the turn itself, you can easily take this one with a slightly higher than normal speed. In my opinion, 20 knots totally fine, but I would probably not want to go much higher here. I wouldn't want to take it to 30 knots for a turn like this. So the verdict of all of that, why I'm telling you, is think ahead as you're taxiing an aircraft like this. It is huge, it has a lot of weight to it. It also has very strong brakes, don't get me wrong on that. But nonetheless, you really don't want to use the brakes too much, because they can and will heat up quickly. Might just about take a little moment here. We have any... No, the brakes are still cool. It's below 100 degrees so far. That's something at least. It really doesn't look that fast, does it? The plane is just huge. So, passing Bravo Delta. I think it's one more intersection until we reach the full length. Yeah, it is. So next one to the left then. So at this point we'd probably get the handoff to the tower controller already, and we could tell him that we are ready for departure. And when we do, we'd probably already get the lineup clearance, so transponder, strobe light, cabin crew, prepare for departure. So, we will take Bravo Alpha. We definitely want to go from the full length over here. The checklist is complete. We revised the briefing. We told the cabin crew to prepare. I think we've done everything we could do. Okay, so runway 25, Bravo Alpha is identified. Clear on the approach, and nobody approaching the crossing runways either. Excellent. Takeoff clearance received, landing lights can come on. So, make sure to line it up correctly. It's a long aircraft, you don't want to overshoot or undershoot with it. And here we go. Take off. Thrust set.
80 knots.
Checked.
Rotate. Positive rate of climb.
Gear up. $400. Autopilot. As mentioned, we want to look out a little bit, so we are going to use the autopilot for now. We're slightly faster than the 200 knots from the SID, but that is alright for me. And now look at how much thrust is going back when we transition to climb thrust. That's losing 10% and 1 there. Lost almost 1,000 feet a minute here. Overflying 786, we can finally accelerate. And climb thrust is set, so the timer can be reset. Okay, starting the acceleration. Positive vector is there, flaps 5. Speed checked, flaps 5. And climbing 250. I do believe that's the level they usually clear here in Rome. So, flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. And now is the big question. You can see that the flaps up maneuvering speed is greater than 250 knots. So unless ATC explicitly clears us from that restriction, we'd have to maintain 250 knots. At least here in Rome, as they explicitly asked for it in the departure chart. Normally most heavy operators are going to clear you to fly faster anyway. Today we'll assume ATC has lifted the restriction, so we can go ahead and retract our flaps completely. Flaps up. Alright, flaps are showing up. Anti-ice is auto. After takeoff checklist. After takeoff checklist complete. Checklist complete. And now just look at this rate of climb. 2,400 feet a minute. That's really all you're gonna get with a heavy 777. If you look back at where the airport is, that is not exactly an awesome climb gradient either, is it? But it's climbing, that's the most important thing for us over here. So now, first of all, gotta clear the terminal area. And once we are clear of the terminal area, then we can start preparing for cruise. Set standard. Standard cross-check, passing flight level 6-7. Now. Checked. So even though we're pretty heavy, we're still like 20 tons under the maximum certified takeoff weight of the 300ER in general, even though this particular aircraft is certified for some 6 tons less. But you can see it's still climbing at a lovely 2,000 and a bit feet a minute here. So that's really the kind of performance the aircraft has. And that is the reason why it's skyrocketing up if you're flying it on short haul. You just have no weight to it. In short haul flying, that is. The engines are made for much, much more. Today, this is where the airplane shines. This is what the 777 is built for. So, all the sunshades coming back in place. Don't worry, I am going to remove them for the cruise so that we can see a little bit. But this is really how you would find the flight deck to look like in normal flight. Get all those visors down. It's really better for your eyes if they are. So, 10,000. Okay, pitch is below 7 degrees. Seatbelts auto. So this looks like we're just going to fly straight for a very long time. Then let's see what we've got in here. Recommended 310, maximum 320, optimum 296. Let's have a quick look at the winds. So basically 300 degrees, 46 versus 48 knots. So it barely makes a difference. I guess we can go all the way to 31 initially. So let's go ahead and do that. So, Throttle 310 is checked. Okay, reaching our final climb speed. Let's see what kind of rate of climb we're going to get. Barely 2,000 feet a minute, huh? A little bit more now. Maybe 2,200, 2,300. But that is really not all that much, isn't it? Okay, well. So, we're in the air. We don't need to worry about an oceanic clearance at this point. Well, thank you for the Rome weather. We don't need that anymore. Let's go ahead and terminate that contract. So, flight information, TWIP request, Lima, India, Romeo, Foxtrot, automatic update, terminate. Okay. And with that, the automatic updates are done. So let's go ahead and have a look into our flight plan. And this is just too bright, isn't it? Let's use the night charts. Those are probably the better choice. So, flight plan. Level 310 is planned at Le Mans. Where is that? Yeah, a flight hour away. If the plane says 310 is recommended right now, then we'll just go up to 310. Okay, so let's have a look at the oceanic portion of the flight. They start down here. What waypoint is that? Inudo. Or is it? No. Turo. So let's find that. Turo, 1641. So we'll ask for clearance 90 minutes before that. That's 1511. We'll create a marker for that in here. Excellent, and then we can go ahead and enter our FIR crossing points. So, at Subox we pass into France. Then Algiers at Recan. Next up we have, well, we're going to be in Algiers for a while. Here we go, Dakar at Brena. And then Dakar for a long time it seems. Atlantico over at Kodos. Okay. So that's about everything we need over here. In terms of alternate airports along the flight, so we can take Cagliari down here, Lima, India. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll just use Algiers. DAAG. Then going southbound, we've got Marrakesh over here, GMMX, and then Dakar GOBD. Okay. And that should be all we need for now. So we can put the tablet away, and we'll just collect the weather for all those airports. So, DAAG, single request PMDG server send. Nope. Then GMMX. Gonna request that as well, and GOBD. Send that one as well. Okay, so let's see what we're getting here. Algiers is looking very good. And Algiers, well, a couple TCUs, but apart from that, stays good. Let's wait for the others then. And yes, in the real world, you could just use the weather request button down here on the alternate page as well. But that is not implemented yet in the PMDG. That's hopefully going to come rather soon. Okay, is that all we've gotten so far? Looks like it, huh? Yeah, we haven't gotten the others yet. Well, here comes the next one. And that seems to be the entire rest as well. So, Marrakesh is looking good. The forecast for Marrakesh is very good as well. Then we've got Dakar, which is excellent as well. And finally, the tough at Dakar is looking excellent as well. Okay. So with that, we are pretty much done setting all of that stuff up. The next thing we can do is to program our step climbs if we want to. So let's see. You are still... Now it's updated to flight level 310. So what we can do now is flight level 320 over at Brena. Let's find that. Brena, here it is. 320 step. And then we've got 340 over at Serot. Here it is. And that'll be 340S. And 360 over at Sierra Golf Romeo. 360S. Okay, and that's it. So that's all our step climbs in. Arrival fuel 6.9, 22, 21. And the schedule is 55, so we're running on time. Excellent. Well, and that's about it. That's pretty much everything prepared. So let's go ahead and use a little bit of time acceleration here to get the aircraft up to cruise, so that we can do our last remaining checks for the cruise flight. And once we're up, I am going to release you guys for a little bit of nice sightseeing as we are going to fly across, first of all, Sardinia and later on Africa. You can really see how the 777 struggles to get up now, and this is even still about 15 tons below the maximum takeoff weight. So the plane can take even more, and it can get even hotter. Now think of doing this in Dubai in summer where you might have 45 or 50 degrees. That's really where the plane starts to struggle. But for now, still climbing, even though not very well anymore. So 2,000 to go, 750 feet a minute remaining. That is really not all that much. Yeah, let's do ourselves a little favor here. Proceed direct Subox. Here we go. I really like how well the 777 handles that stuff in time acceleration. I really like it. Okay, speed, VNAV path. Okay, back to real time. 20 minutes to the top of climb. Let's go ahead and check our operational flight plan, see what we have on here. So, top of climb 18 minutes, but 2,000 feet lower, 98 tons, 6.9 used. We're at 97.7, and we used 7.3. Makes sense, we climbed a little bit higher. So, we should have maybe Adrux next to us for a fuel check. If you don't have it in your FMC anymore because of direct, you can always re-enter it using the fix page like this, and you can even use the beam functionality to just draw a waypoint on your nav display. Or you just zoom in and you can see that now the position is marked over here on the nav display as well. Easy going. Okay, so passing Adrux. Should have 23 minutes. We have 21, so we saved a little bit. 97.3, 97.6, and should have used 7.6, and we did use 7.4. Excellent, so our fuel check is looking good. Pretty much everything is entered. We can return Supul to the fix info page to mark our FIR boundary again, and that's basically it. So with that, our aircraft is fully prepared, and we can go ahead and enjoy the terrain, enjoy the service, and then I see you all again a little bit later. Now that's a beautiful look out at the stars up there. Gets even more beautiful if we just turn the stormlight off and just enjoy the view outside. It's incredible how clean the atmosphere is in many parts of the world that are not Europe or North America or Asia. Especially flying over the Atlantic or flying over Africa, the look at the stars can be really, really impressive. And likewise it seems to be the case in South America. Unfortunately we can't enjoy the views for long though, as our top of descent is slowly approaching and only 120 miles out, which for a long haul flight is already rather close. So let's go ahead and start a little bit of preparation for our approach. I'm going to dim the displays a little bit here, so that we don't get blinded that quickly. But well, in order to avoid falling asleep, we might just as well turn the stormlights back on again. So let's go ahead and have a look into our arrival. We're going to start with a weather request, and we are definitely going to make this weather request permanent here. So SBGR, we're going to do automatic updates from the PMDG server and send that out. Alright, sent. And now we'll just wait until the update arrives, and then we can go ahead with our approach preparation. What we could already do is to run the descent forecast request, so that all our uplinks are done by the time that we get our information. So now, we'll recall, nothing in there. Look at the ECL, no notes in there, which is always a good thing. Okay, so Sao Paulo, wind 0802, 8 kilometers, no significant clouds, 18 degrees, 1016. Certainly cooled down quite a bit since we have departed, but that's to be expected after the sun has set. So QNH is preset. Can load in the weather over here, and looking at this, they might actually be using the other runway at the moment. Well, Flight Radar 24 is a good source for runway information, so we might always just have a look at that. And if I'm looking at Flight Radar right now, it's definitely runway 08 that is in use. So landing runway 08 right. Okay, that means we got to reprogram. Don't need that TAF anymore. So, arrival airport. Now let's go ahead and have a look. We're arriving via Atmos, and we'll come in for an approach to runway, what's that? 10. Or is it? Actually, I might be talking nonsense over here. No, it's definitely 10 right on which they are landing, so 10 right. Now we have it. Okay, so out of the gazillion approaches available here, now comes the challenge of finding the correct one. If one of you watching this knows better as to what approach to expect, be sure let me know in the comments below. Because I'm literally going for the best guess over here. Loads of different approaches available. I have the feeling we gotta start by the star. So that's a lovely point merge over here. Probably not gonna fly that. But I have a feeling that we'll end up doing that stuff anyway. But let's go ahead and have a look at some of the other charts available. Atmos 1 Alpha is one that interests me over here. This is taking long right now. Sometimes I have a feeling when you don't use the Navigraph app for a while during a flight, like right now we just flew in real time probably 2.5 hours, in accelerated time 10 hours, within which we did not use the Navigraph app. So sometimes I have a feeling that causes a couple of issues. Alright, looking at this though, that seems to be what to expect. So Atmos 1 Alpha arrival, runway 10 left. And that one brings us towards Lowman. So now that we know where we are coming from, 10 right. Let's go ahead and search one that starts from Lowman, and the Yankee approach seems to be just one. Well, that looks about right. So, if you know better, if you know which approach to expect, be sure let me know in the comments below. Okay, here we go. That's our new arrival in. It also moved the top of descent a little bit further aft, which certainly helps in our available time and our planning. So the descent speeds are looking good. 240 below 100 is also good. Airfield elevation, well, 2,500 feet. MSAs of 5,900. Yeah, we are fine if we just keep the transition at 10,000. Transition level by ATC, transition altitude is 8,000. We'll ignore that insufficient fuel message over here for now. We'll deal with that later. So that transition altitude becomes a transition level of flight level 90, which is already in. Then we can go ahead and check the legs page to make sure that the arrival is correct. And we might as well just complete our chart clipboard here. So we'll take the airport chart, and we'll probably also need the parking chart, that one. Okay, excellent. So then let's go ahead and check. So it's Atmos below flight level 260. On towards Nipvo, Polit below flight level 150. Golf Romeo 284 above 110. 286 above 110. And then we got 283 at flight level 110. From there we continue via 287. 288 below 85. 289 below 70, and then Lowman above 6,000, and from there we start our approach, which we have on the ILS Yankee chart 10 right over here. So Lowman 6,000, 202, 5,100, and then Latpo at 4,500 on towards Opsa, and Opsa is already located on a 3.4 mile final. Definitely want to reduce our speed at Latpo then. Well, let's make it 180 knots then. So 180 over at Latpo, like this. Even though Latpo itself is also only on, well, that's 5 miles, so 8 mile final, 180 knots, that's just about gonna work. I tell you what, we'll make that 170, just to be on the safe side here. Something like that. Okay then, 3-degree glide slope matches the database. Down to the field, and for the missed approach, climb to 6,000 feet, and we have 6,000 down here. And then maintain course 095 until 3,300. So we've got 095, 3,300. And then turn right, direct to Isimu for holding. And we've got Isimu and holding. Can also check that holding. So Isimu, that's 130 inbound, right hand turns, and in the absence of any definition, 1 minute lag time. That's looking good to me. Okay. So that good stuff is in, then we can go ahead with the fix info page, and in here we got SBGR, and that's gonna be a 25 mile ring, and judging the MSAs, they're similar all around, so basically all of them 6,000 feet keeps us safe. So I'll just keep the 25 mile ring without anything else. So 6.3 landing fuel versus the current fuel on board of 10 tons, so that's minus 3.5, which makes a landing weight of 240.4. Let's round that up, 241 tons. So, Sao Paulo Guarulhos, runway 10 right. It's gonna be full runway, dry. Weight is 241. Flaps 30, air conditioning on, nothing to set down here. Idle reverse since the aircraft is going to overnight down there. Okay, weather. 080/2. Temperature is 18. Hold on a moment. Temperature is 18, and the QNH is 1016. Okay, calculate that. 2,291 meters, and if we have a look at our airport chart, no, not for you, but for you, that should probably vacate as Charlie Charlie. With a bit of luck, Bravo Bravo, but both are acceptable, so this is what we're going to do. So auto brake 3 it is. And we probably just received new weather. 170 at 2, 6 kilometers, no significant cloud, 16 degrees, 1016. Well, that's fine for us. So, still headwind, no significant changes. A little bit colder, even so our landing distance is going to be even shorter. Overall, nothing to worry about. Okay, well. So that is this. Can cancel that away. Then we've got an insufficient fuel message. That's probably because we got a much longer arrival right now than we had originally planned in our flight plan. Well, the weather is looking very good. Even the forecast is very good. So we'll commit to land at destination. And if we do that, we can change our reserve fuels. So, final reserve 3.4. Let's quickly insert flaps 30 over here. 3.4. Here we go. So now we're committed to land at destination. But all of a sudden, we got a lot of extra fuel again. So, overall, nothing to worry about. Okay then, I'm off everything and I'll do a quick announcement. Or actually, wait a moment. We can insert our minimums first. Alice Yankee 10 right, minimum 3000. And since I'm lazy, EFIS control, EFIS 3000. Here we go. Alright, I'm off everything. You have control your radios. Ladies and gentlemen from Flotec, this is your captain speaking. We will start our descent towards Sao Paulo in the next 10 minutes, and the weather at destination currently clear skies and a temperature of 16 degrees centigrade. We would like to thank you very much for choosing LATAM for today's flight. Hope that you have enjoyed it as much as we did, and we look forward to see you all again on a future flight. In the meantime, we wish you a nice and safe continuous journey, wherever that may take you, and we hope to see you all again soon. Thank you very much for your attention. Okay, that's our passengers dealt with. Descent checklist, please. Recall, checked. Notes, checked. Auto brake, 3. Landing data, Vera 30146, minimums Barrow 3000, set left, set right. Approach briefing, completed. Descent checklist, complete. And that's it. We are prepared for the approach. And from here on, we'll be sitting here for another 45 minutes or so. So I might as well accelerate the simulation again a little bit. So I see you all again in a little bit lower altitudes. Here we are, right over Sao Paulo. Couple of low-lying clouds here, a little bit of mist. But apart from that, beautiful look down on the airport right behind our aircraft. And we are just about in a good position to start our approach. The cabin is just reported ready. And we are going to start our speed reduction right now, as we are very likely to get a little shortcut from our traffic control on the way in. So we've got level change, 250 knots, cabin ready is received, and we can go ahead and turn on our lights. Cabin crew, prepare for landing. So we're good to go, and at a moment like this I would very well expect ATC to take us on radar vectors, so let's go ahead and do just that. We'll take a vector here, somewhere to the left, heading 290, descending, altitude 6000, which we set is going to keep us safe at any point. Set QNH. QNH 1016 cross-checked, passing 11,000 now. Checked. Approach checklist. Altimeters. QNH 1016. Approach checklist complete. So let's go ahead and insert the shortcut. Direct to Lohman, please. That will probably put us rather high on path. Yes, it does. 2,400 feet high. Not a problem for the speed brake of the 777. Now, have a look at this. Extended smoothly and carefully. It's a very effective speed brake. And now look at that wonderful rate of descent here. 3,000 feet a minute, no problem. And since we're probably going to fly a little bit further than that routing we have over here, I will maintain a little bit above the path. If we really need to force our airplane down, we can always pull the ATC lever, that's the speed brake for you guys, and use that to get down. Right then, let's dim our cockpit a little bit, and then we can put the speed brake back in. Here we go. That's a beautiful atmosphere over here, isn't it? Look at that. Really beautiful. Okay, since weather is not a problem, I'll switch over to terrain. And then left heading 240. Okay, proceed direct Lohman via Lohman, cleared ILS. LNAV, VNAV. I've never been to Brazil, unfortunately, so I'm not 100% sure how realistic that vectored approach just was, but I would imagine something like this, based on experience at many different airports, probably something like this could be expected. So here's the 777 gotcha for you. The target speed will very well just go below the up speed if the next speed constraint is lower. So we have 170 knots constraint at Latpo that we inserted ourselves earlier. And you can see the airplane is just going to take us right below the up speed without any hesitation. Which of course as pilots we must not let it do. So flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. Okay then, further descent according to the profile.
2500.
Checked. Flying over a couple of hills down here. Look at this. Really beautiful, isn't it? Flaps 5. Speed checked. Flaps 5. Okay, next altitude 4,500, and out of there cleared for the ILS. So that's approach armed. Flaps 15. Speed checked. Flaps 15. Localizer capture. Still quite a bit of tailwind here, and only 8 miles. Looks like we'll have to use the speed brakes for a bit. Level change. And speed brakes back in. I told you they're very effective. So that's our runway in sight. Okay, gear down, flaps 20. Flaps 30. Can disregard that. As soon as the gear is down, that warning will go out again. Okay, set missed approach altitude. 6,000 feet set. Landing checklist. Landing checklist complete. Alright. We're fully established. Manual flight. So, the wind is turning into a crosswind now. Will probably become a headwind in a few moments. Going stabilized through the gate.
1,000.
Checked. 160 knots ground speed. In other words, we expect a slightly increased rate of descent, for which we gotta compensate on the flare.
Approaching minimums.
Checked.
Minimums.
Continue. The puppy shows us slightly high, but I'll remain on the glide.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10. 5.
Spoiler, reverse green. .100 knots. Manual brakes. Auto brake. 60 knots. And here we are, 11 hours flight time. Welcome to Sao Paulo, everyone. Now that was a beautiful approach across the lights of the city over here. That was a really beautiful one. So we're going to keep the strobe lights on as we're about to cross the runway. Flaps going up, speed brake going in. You can really see how the fog is slowly building here. That's looking really good. That's active sky for you, my friends. Looking really, really good, isn't it? Can get rid of the sunshade now, though. But yeah, it does happen at night that you forget the sunshades. It certainly does happen. Okay, the runway is vacated. Let's see if we can find the gate in GSX. I think it's gotta be terminal... Yeah, remote side terminal 3. Gate 505, that's the one that we're looking for. Follow me, no thanks. Okay, strobe's going off. Okay, TCAS office noted. So, not too slow, not too fast. And here we are. So, 3 minutes, right engine shutdown. We are at a rather high gross weight, but we should be able to do single engine taxi here. We're below 240 tons, normally it should work rather well. And we're at 2,500 feet elevation, it's not that high. It's not sea level, gotta keep that in mind, but at 17 degrees, shouldn't be much of a problem. Engine shutdown right, it's noted. Okay, next to the right. So we definitely can't take any of the colored lines over here. We absolutely have to take the center line with the 777 due to our wingspan. No sense to go any quicker now. We'll just keep the speed where it is. What is it actually? 9 knots. Yeah, 9 knots is good. Okay, 505 is to the left. It is a remote parking. But I looked at Flight Radar and this is exactly what the flight took on this date, so... Well, we'll go into the remote parking then. So, lights going off, and then we've got 505 coming up over here. Why is there a stair standing on our parking? Well, thank you for nothing, GSX. I did even download a profile for this one, but... Okay, I tell you what, let's get rid of this. Restart Throttle. I'd rather park myself here than than to run into a stair. So, we'll take the most forward marking. We basically draw an imaginary line to the side, somewhere like here. And now we'll put the nose wheel onto that. So, remember we are sitting a couple of meters in front of the nose wheel. So we gotta do something like this, I suppose. Okay, stop it here. Parking brake set. Number 2 is shut down already, so let's go ahead and get a ground power unit. So, set chocks, ground power request. Actually, it shouldn't be a jetway plug, it should be dual GPU plugs. Here we go. Why is it on air start inhibit? That doesn't make any sense. Well, in that case, we'll just... That's strange. What is it doing here? Okay, well, here we go. We got a ground power attached, that's all I want. Even 2 of them. Nice. I thought I'd save a little bit of fuel by not starting the APU, and then we run into something like this. It's always the same, isn't it? You just can't do it right. If you don't start the APU to save a bit of fuel, then you are going to have trouble with the ground power unit. Well, I have to say, the simulation is highly realistic. That's exactly what happens in the real world all the time. Cabin crew, all doors in park. And here we go. So, ground service vehicles. Stairs 1 left, stairs 2 left. We need the cargos and the cargos. And that's it. Let's see if we forgot something. Shutdown checklist. Park and brake. Well, the chocks are in place, are they? Yes, they are. Okay, released. Shutdown checklist complete. And that's it, my friends. We made it. Let's go ahead and secure the aircraft. So, secure checklist, packs, off. Secure checklist complete. And here we have it, my friends. Another flight with our 777-300ER. A beautiful aircraft. And this is exactly the kind of service that it's made for. I do hope you have all enjoyed this flight. Give me your feedback in the comments below. I'm very much looking forward to it. And if you're interested in learning how to fly the 777, check out my tutorials or my Ultimate 777 Guide ebook. More on that in the video description below. Thank you very much for watching. I sure hope that you had some fun today. And I'm very much looking forward to your feedback on this one. Oh, and we should turn the beacon off. That is definitely something worth doing. Okay, so thank you very much for watching, everyone. Leave your feedback in the comments below, and as always, I'm very much looking forward to them. Finally, if you really love what I'm doing, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and see you all again on the next one.